You think Jada Pinkett was entangling? She was entangling with Chris Kelly from motherfucking Kriss Kross, because Kriss Kross was in the room and he was like, Jada Pinkett is at the door, but don't leave.
How long did your dope dealing career last, would you say?
Maybe about 2 years.
2 years?
2
Damn.
years. 2 years.
That's a lot of surviving.
Yeah.
Dwayne 648 today, an autopsy is scheduled for the member of the famed hip-hop duo Kriss Kross, Chris Kelly, pronounced dead Wednesday evening at an Atlanta hospital. There is still no word on a cause of death.
You guys are the youngest successful rappers in history of music. How old are you, both of you?
Both 13.
Both 13.
Yeah.
Now, how were you guys discovered?
Everything that Chris started to do, I can tell you who he smoked his first joint with. I can tell you who he had his first drink with. I can tell you who he's with when he had sex with somebody who put him up to that, you know.
If you think back to the iconic songs of the 90s, nothing comes to mind faster than Jump by Kriss Kross. The song topped the Billboard Hot 100 when it came out in 1992 for 8 weeks, holding Bohemian Rhapsody, Under the Bridge, and more classic singles at the #2 spot. But we remember little about the hip-hop duo behind it, which consisted of then 13-year-old Chris Mac Daddy Kelly and 12-year-old Chris Daddy Mac Smith.
One day we was walking down the mall and we saw our producer Jermaine Dupri with one of his groups. And we went over to the group to get an autograph because they had a record out at the time. And while we was over there getting an autograph, he asked us if we rap, sing, and dance. We told him we rapped and danced a little bit.
But did you know they were actually victims of abuse as underage? And more importantly, did you also know that Jada Pinkett Smith, the one and only, is almost entirely responsible for this and the group's eventual demise, thanks to her hooking them up on drugs? Well, if you didn't, you're in luck, because in this video, we are about to unearth the most kept secret touching on Jada's alleged involvement in the end of a once promising hip-hop duo.
Then he came back in, he said, yeah, that was Jada Pinkett. I'm like, damn, this was fucking Jada Pinkett at a young age.
Wow, Chris Kelly was that?
1993, around that way.
Wow.
You know, yes, she was entangling me.
Sadly, Jada wasn't the only one who participated in finishing off the two teens' careers. By the way, one is dead and the other is not doing so well. Are you ready for more? Things are just getting started. Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith have been all over the news for the past couple of years. Unfortunately, they've been there for all the wrong reasons. A few years back, the legendary actor admitted during the profile that he once wanted to have a harem of 20 women following him around, including Halle Berry. We all know about Jada's previous entanglement with singer August Alsina, and we've been learning about the unconventional nature of Will and Jada's marriage in recent months, but apparently Jada has been playing this game longer than we thought. During a recent interview, rapper Daz Dillinger, who worked closely with Jada's ex-boyfriend, the late Tupac Shakur, claimed that in 1993, Jada was having an entanglement with Chris Kelly from Kriss Kross. At the time, Chris would have been 15 years old and Jada would have been 22. Yes, you heard that right.
You think Jada Pinkett was entangling? She was entangling with Chris Kelly from motherfucking Kriss Kross, because Kriss Kross was in the room and he was like, Jada Pinkett is at the door, but don't leave.
You think Jada Pinkett was entangling? She was entangling with Chris Kelly from MF-ing Kriss Kross, exclaimed Daz. Kriss Kross was in the room and Chris was like, Jada Pinkett is at the door, but don't leave. Take this weed, chill. We were like, damn, he gave us an ounce of weed. We gonna kick it right here. Then he came back in and said, yeah, that was Jada Pinkett. I'm like, damn, that's Jada Pinkett at a young age. 1993, around that way. She was entangling then. Shout out to Jada. Dillinger likely didn't mean to start anything, but fans have started calculating Jada and Chris's ages at the time, realizing that Chris Kelly was only about 15 when this allegedly happened. Jada was 22 in 1993, meaning they were entangling while the Kriss Kross member was still underage. Jada was the talk of the town a few years back when R&B singer August Alsina revealed the two had an affair, and many chimed in on the age difference between the two, as Smith was in her 40s and Alsina was in his early 20s when the relationship started. Will Smith took some heat off of his wife when he revealed in an interview with GQ that they have an open marriage.
I really didn't want to get married, but...
We only got married because Gammy was crying.
Well, Gammy, this is what happened.
Jada never believed in conventional marriage. Jada had family members that had an unconventional relationship. So she grew up in a way that was very different from how I grew up. I don't suggest our road for anybody. I don't suggest this road for anybody. But the experiences that the freedoms that we've given one another and the unconditional support, to me, is the highest definition of love, the Fresh Prince told GQ. In her own words, Jada once admitted that she sold drugs.
And recently you've opened up and talked about back in your early days when you were younger. You said that you were a drug dealer, and you said you just decided that this one little piece was important to share.
A bad one at that. Now 52, Jada has been open about her marriage to Will Smith, her struggle with mental health and suicidal ideation, the infamous 2022 Oscars, and her childhood. It's there, she says, that lessons were learned and not learned, and it's when she would eventually lead a double life, a promising performer at school and a rising drug dealer on the streets. When you aren't the priority of your parents, the actress revealed, you don't know how to be a priority to yourself. I had parents who were addicted to drugs. Jada was raised in different homes, sometimes with her maternal grandmother, who would become a guiding force, and sometimes with her mother, Adrienne Banfield Norris, a heroin addict who would get sober and become a mainstay in her and her children's lives and on the set of Red Table Talk. Her father, who would at times be violent, would come in and out of her life. Rob Saul Pinkett Jr. died in 2010.
Mom, let me ask you a question.
Ciao.
While you were using, if you knew this was on the street at the time and people were dying, do you think that would have...
Not having a healthy foundation, as I would come to find out way into my adulthood, had some really strong effects in regard to how I saw myself, she says. But she's able to see her childhood clearly today. Our parents are not responsible for our wholeness, she shared. But I didn't know how to create healthy boundaries, to create healthy relationships. Her late grandmother, Marion Banfield, provided pivotal lessons. My grandmother thought that it was very important that I be able to relate to anyone, and she felt as though I needed to be well-rounded in order to do that, Jada said. So whether it was through reading books or hobbies, understanding different kinds of religion, she wanted me to always have an entry point to be able to have a common ground with another person. She also taught her how to keep a house. A pristine house, that's for sure. I know how to clean some floorboards and how to clean a bathroom, revealed the actress. She also taught me never to depend on a man, for pleasure or for money. She's like, your pleasure belongs to you, and do not depend on a man for finances. Then she finally opened up. I knew that anything that I needed was something I needed to provide for, Jada revealed. I decided to sell drugs. Growing up, the drug dealers were the ones that had affluence, shared Jada. That's what we readily saw as success. And so for me, considering my circumstances at the time, my mother was not doing well. She was a high-functioning heroin addict. We didn't have the things that we should have. The home we lived in was not taken care of. This is probably how she ended up ruining the lives of people like Kriss Kross. The actress revealed she worked several jobs, legit jobs, starting at 12. Having money in my pocket was a must, she said. She was a telemarketer. She worked at the Gap. I just wanted financial freedom, says Jada. There was also the what if fears, she says. What if something happens to my mother? What if she doesn't come home one night, either overdosed, arrested, whatever? And so I decided to sell drugs. I decided to sell crack cocaine. Everyone, she says, was dealing with the drug epidemic in Baltimore in the 1980s. Everybody, Jada says. Drugs were going to touch you, period. You could use them, you could sell them, but there was no being in an environment like that, and drugs did not touch you. And I'm not saying that it's right, of course, now being in a whole different mindset. But when you're living in a war zone and you are just thinking about survival, I wasn't trying to use drugs. I surely wasn't going to be a drug dealer's girlfriend. But I wanted money so that I could be independent. I wanted to take care of myself. Years later, she laughs at her ambition and hubris. I thought I was going to be a queen pin for sure, she remembers. You can get caught up in the scenery. I was rolling with some really high rollers at the time. That's a whole nother Jada that would chase somebody down the alley with a switchblade because they stole $700. Or the Jada that would sell crack cocaine and then get set up and two dudes come in with 9mm and she gets a gun put to her head. Wondering how her drug story is connected to Kriss Kross's fall from grace? Well, this is how Chris Kelly, known also as Mac Daddy, grew grew up alongside Chris Smith in Atlanta. The pair became friends in first grade and were discovered at the Greenbrier Mall in 1990 by Jermaine Dupri, who founded the So So Def label after signing Kriss Kross. Now, their legacy lives on despite Chris Kelly's untimely death, as an Amsterdam music festival named after them continues on for the 13th year. But first things first, what happened to Chris Kelly?
Kriss Kross weren't rappers. They weren't kids walking around with demos. They weren't trying to be rappers. They weren't trying to be singers. When I met them, I said, "What do y'all do?" Light-skinned Chris said, "We just cool."
With the likes of Jada hanging around him, it's no surprise that Kelly struggled with substance abuse when he and his bandmate became a worldwide phenomenon with Jump when they were just pre-teens. They spent their teenage years working and touring after the song's success, as their debut album, Totally Crossed Out, was propelled to multi-platinum status. They toured alongside Michael Jackson on the European leg of his 1992 Dangerous World Tour and inspired a video game titled Kriss Kross, Make My Video. Their second album in 1993, Da Bomb, was also certified platinum, and their 1996 album, Young, Rich, and Dangerous, was certified gold. While working on their music careers, Kelly and Smith also attended Woodward Academy, where Kelly studied mix engineering, which led him to found C Connection Records. With all the money, fame, and pressure to study and work full-time, it's easy to get lost in the world of drugs and partying, where drugs are easily accessible. Although the duo continued performing together following the peak of their career, they played their last show in their hometown on February 23, 2013, for the 20th anniversary of So So Def. 2 months later, Chris Kelly died of a drug overdose. His family stated that he had struggled with drug and alcohol addiction throughout his life, and he had actually gone home to deal with the aftermath of a night of partying. Kelly's mother, Donna Kelly Pratt, and Kelly's uncle told police that he had taken speedballs the night before his death, which typically contain a risky dose of cocaine and heroin.
Everything that Chris started to do, I can tell you who he smoked his first joint with. I can tell you who he had his first drink with. I can tell you who he's with when he had sex with somebody, who put him up to that, you know.
Donna had allegedly taken Kelly home to help him recover, although he complained of feeling nauseous before he passed out. Paramedics found him unresponsive on April 29, 2013, and brought him to the Atlanta Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead on May 1, 2013, at 5 p.m. He was just 34 years old. The Fulton County Medical Examiner concluded through an autopsy that Kelly had officially died of an overdose by accident. They found heroin, cocaine, ethanol, hydrocodone, and alprazolam in his system. Mixing alcohol with hydrocodone can often be a deadly combination, especially with a speedball. Kriss Kross fans were obviously heartbroken at the loss, along with the hip-hop community at large. Jermaine Dupri released an open letter to his fans via Twitter following Kelly's death, praising the artist as the son he never had. Likewise, Chris Smith shared a tearful statement to the press. "Chris Kelly was my best friend. He was like a brother. I love him and will miss him dearly. Our friendship began as little boys in first grade. We grew up together. It was a blessing to achieve success, travel the world, and entertain Kriss Kross fans all around the world with my best friend." Jada aside, rumor also had it that Diddy messed up Kriss Kross back in the day. The Bad Boy founder wanted the boys close to him so badly that Jermaine Dupri had to fight to protect his prodigy. Throughout the 1990s and well into the 2000s, Dupri is credited with helping to push musical acts like Escape, Da Brat, Usher, and Kriss Kross into the stratosphere of fame. His introduction into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2018 added to his success. These several achievements catapulted his overall contributions to hip-hop culture, but not everyone is happy about what he has achieved.
At this point, no matter how you feel about Jermaine Dupri, no matter what you want to say about my records that I created, no matter what you want to say about the artists that I've put out, I'm going into the Hall of Fame and you can't do nothing about it.
A lot of this stuff would be different. Like, a lot of people would be like, damn, Jermaine actually created this. Jermaine actually started this, the Atlanta native stated in an interview with Complex's Blueprint series. However, when fans think of those who contributed to the fashion trends within the culture, it's less likely that they think of the 51-year-old. I've been telling people this every day. If you look at that Kriss Kross poster up there, Kriss Kross has on jerseys. This was in 1992, Dupree exclaimed. Nobody in hip-hop, you can't think of nobody else in hip-hop in '92 that was wearing baseball jerseys. So that means after 1992, wearing baseball jerseys, football jerseys, basketball jerseys, all of that came from me and Kriss Kross. Aiding in the young hip-hop duo's success, Kriss Kross wore oversized clothes backward in their first music video, Jump. The following year, the fashion statement became popular within hip-hop culture. Defending his success, Dupree has even publicly challenged Sean Diddy Combs in a versus battle. However, Diddy turned down the challenge, feeling as though the Atlanta producer wasn't qualified to battle him. It turns out all along, it had been the battle to keep Kriss Kross. But the industry that we're in, they don't actually frame it up like that, Dupree said. We don't get the credit that we're supposed to, and that's kind of what Andre 3000 was saying at the Source Awards when he said the South got something to say. He felt that same energy that night. I've been feeling that same energy my whole life.
For the first time I feel accomplished, you know, it's the first feeling it's the first time I've ever felt this accomplished. I always feel like, I guess because when you put out a record.
That said, the heaviest burden when it comes to matters of Kriss Kross falling off the map still lies with Jada. After all, this lady is not new to controversies. Jada may be making headlines these days for her intimate and sometimes controversial revelations about her personal life on Red Table Talk. But the Baltimore native has been a major part of Hollywood long before her sensational Facebook talk show. Per IMDb, the actress began her career as an actor back in 1990 with the TV movie Moe's World. She then went on to appear in over 50 films and TV series throughout her 3 decades in show business, including fan favorites like Girls Trip, The Nutty Professor, and The Matrix Reloaded. Jada isn't just an actor and talk show host, though. She's also a singer, having fronted the heavy metal band Wicked Wisdom. Additionally, she often serves as a producer, with several projects under her belt, thanks to the production company she runs alongside her husband, Will Smith. Despite all her accomplishments, Jada's relationship with her famous husband often gets her the most attention, whether it be because of their unconventional approach to marriage or scandals in their personal lives. In March 2022, in particular, the Smiths caused a frenzy at the Academy Awards after Will slapped comedian Chris Rock for making a joke about his wife's bald head caused by alopecia. While Jada was an observer in this instance, it's no secret that she's been involved in other controversies over the years. In fact, you could definitely say that despite her cool girl reputation, Jada has quite the shady side, and we are here to break it down. The powerhouse couple may have been married for over 20 years, which is basically forever by Hollywood standards, but that doesn't mean they've been faithful for all of it. In fact, Jada in particular admitted to having an affair with August Alsina, but only after the rapper spilled the beans on Angela Yee's radio show. He dished, "I totally gave myself to that relationship for years of my life, and I truly and really, really deeply love her."
And I truly and really, really deeply loved and have a ton of love for her.
While Jada denied Alsina's other claims that Will gave them his blessing, she did confess on Red Table Talk that what Alsina said was true, but downplayed it as an entanglement until pushed to acknowledge that it was a relationship. Instead of feeling ashamed, though, Jada defended herself, saying, "I was in a lot of pain. I was very broken." She even suggested that her intentions with Alsina were pure and that she wanted to help him when he was struggling with addiction. Yes, another case of a young man addicted while in her watch. While Jada clarified that her affair happened when her and Will were taking time apart, she accepted that there still was healing to do because of her actions. You could also say that while the actress said she found it bizarre for Alsina to bring up their romance years after they stopped speaking, she did use it as an opportunity to bring attention to her show, even if it hurt her family. Again, you could say that Jada has put her husband, Will Smith, in multiple embarrassing situations, which probably hasn't been good for his Hollywood image. While it's bad enough that the Men in Black actor had to publicly discuss his wife's romantic entanglement with another man, what's worse is that it resulted in the sad Will meme that poked fun at him being played. Will tried to brush it off to GQ, saying it was late at night. "I'm not sad, I'm effing exhausted." It appears that Will is often defending their relationship and seemingly his own reputation because of questionable things Jada has said about marriage. The Aladdin star did infer that their open marriage was Jada's idea, though, since she never believed in conventional marriage and had family members that had an unconventional relationship. It's also safe to assume that Jada discussing the downside of their S life wasn't a good look for Will either. While talking with Gwyneth Paltrow on Red Table Talk, Jada suggested that keeping their spark alive is hard, adding, "The accountability part really hit for me because I think you expect your partner to know what you need, especially when it comes to S." Fans were quick to point out how that shamed her husband, with one person even tweeting a meme of Jada asking herself, "I wonder how I can embarrass this man this month."
You expect your partner to know, especially when it comes to sex.
Right.
It's like, well, if you love me, you should know.
Fans may be surprised to learn that Jada once had a problem with drugs and alcohol that could have ended her career back in the 1990s. The Scream 2 Inches actor revealed on Red Table Talk that at one point drinking wine was like Kool-Aid, adding, "I could drink almost anybody under the table." While the mother of two admitted that her heavy drinking began as a teen, it's when she moved to Hollywood that she was doing cocktails of ecstasy, alcohol, weed. While she said she wasn't doing things that I thought were addictive, she realized her threshold became very high because of her frequent use. Jada, however, only considered herself a weekend party girl, even though she admitted that her substance use probably stemmed from mental health issues. She recalled, "In my depression, using ecstasy, drinking a whole lot, and smoking a bunch of weed and trying to just find some peace in my mind." She added that deep down, she realized an addiction was around the corner unless she got help. Yet it was an incident on the set of The Nutty Professor that jeopardized her career that served as her wake-up call. She revealed, "I went to work high and it was a bad batch of ecstasy. And I passed out and I told everybody that I must have had old medication. That was the last time." Having that kind of lifestyle in the industry and ruining a few lives in the process, anyone is bound to make enemies. Jada has had beef with other celebrities, specifically Bring It On star Gabrielle Union. The actress revealed on Red Table Talk, "Gabrielle and I were never really girlfriends. We were great associates," adding, "That dissolved. And for 17 years, we have not really spoken."
I'm sorry that I didn't even take the time to talk to you.
There have been issues between the two of you.
Yeah, I said I want a reconciliation show.
In 2018, Jada decided to end their feud on her show. Whether that was just for ratings or not, she confessed, "It felt so good to even just go, 'Hey, I'm sorry that I didn't even take the time to talk to you.' And then I had to just apologize and just thinking to myself, 'Damn, Jada, that was some petty AS.'" Union said later on the Today Show that she wasn't even sure what led to Jada not liking her, recalling that the media and various people around them fueled the rumor. Then it was like, "Okay, girl, bye." She added, Jada may also be a factor in the feud between her husband, Will Smith, and comedian Chris Rock. Not only did Will slap Rock for making a joke about Jada at the 2022 Academy Awards, but that apparently wasn't the first time Rock made a joke at her expense. Quipping at the 2016 Oscars, "Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited." Perhaps Jada expressed to Will that she's not willing to be the basis of Rock's jokes. Or perhaps the rumors that she and Rock once hooked up are true. And it doesn't end there. Her parenting has also been questioned on several occasions. The famous parents were once investigated by the Los Angeles Department of Children and Family Services after a photo of their then 13-year-old daughter, Willow Smith, in bed with a shirtless, then 20-year-old actor, Moises Arias, surfaced on social media. While a source told Radar that the case was being taken very seriously by the department, Jada herself told reporters there was nothing usual about that picture or that situation. While the Smiths were cleared of wrongdoing, Jada later said on Red Table Talk that the kids got to see for the first time why Will and I had been so protective. Yet it wasn't the only time her parenting style was under fire. She faced criticism when her husband admitted to Metro that he and Jada don't do punishment, explaining that they prefer to give them as much control over their lives as possible. Well, it seems like Jada has a lot of baggage to clear. From ruining her own life to ruining the lives of others like Kriss Kross and even her own kids, redeeming herself is surely going to be some work. And that's it from us today. Until next time, thank you for watching.